Commander Jake Sullivan stared out the viewing port of the Starseeker, his eyes fixed on the supposedly barren Kepler 442 system. The year was 2425, and the Terran Federation exploration vessel had been mapping the outer regions near the Kepler 442 border for 3 standard weeks. What had begun as a routine surveying mission was now anything but routine. "Commander, I'm picking up unusual energy readings from the third planet," said Dr. Kevin Price, the ship's lead scientist. His fingers danced across the holographic display, enlarging the sensor readings. "According to our database, Kepler 442b should be uninhabited, but these readings suggest an artificial atmosphere. And there's more. I'm detecting infrastructure." Jake moved closer to the display, his brow furrowed. "Could it be another species? The Zelthari have been pushing into this sector." "That's the thing, sir." Communications Officer Amy Rodriguez cut in, her voice tight with excitement. "I've been scanning radio frequencies, and I'm picking up transmissions. In English." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The implications were staggering. The Terran Federation had strict colonization protocols, especially since the Treaty of New Saturn established territorial boundaries with the 3 major alien empires. Unauthorized human settlements were expressly forbidden in neutral territories. "How is this possible?" Jake murmured, more to himself than to his crew. "There are no registered colonies in this system." Lisa Barnes, their pilot, swiveled in her chair. "Could it be survivors from a crashed ship? Maybe refugees?" "Not with these energy readings," Dr. Price replied, shaking his head. "We're talking about a fully established civilization, cities, transportation networks, orbital platforms. This isn't some makeshift survivor colony. This is deliberate." Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Standard protocol demanded immediate reporting to Terran Federation Command. But something held him back. Curiosity, perhaps, or a strange sense that this discovery needed to be understood before it was judged. "Lisa, move us into a higher orbit around Kepler 442b, but maintain stealth protocols. Amy, continue monitoring communications. Kevin, I want detailed scans of those settlements. Let's gather more information before we alert command." As the Starseeker adjusted its course, Jake retreated to his private quarters. His fingers hovered over the communication panel that would connect him directly to Admiral Chen Wei at Federation headquarters. The regulations were clear. Unknown human settlements must be reported immediately. But the commander found himself hesitating, torn between duty and the nagging feeling that this discovery might be more significant than a simple protocol violation. After several minutes of internal debate, Jake made his decision. He would investigate first and report later, a choice that would prove more consequential than he could possibly imagine. The next 12 hours were a flurry of activity as the Starseeker's sensors mapped an astonishing reality. Kepler 442b housed a thriving human civilization. Cities dotted the terraformed landscape, orbital stations circled in precise formation, and energy readings suggested technology that matched or even exceeded Federation standards. "Commander, they've detected us," Amy announced suddenly, her voice breaking the concentrated silence on the bridge. "We're receiving a transmission directed specifically at our ship." Jake straightened his uniform. "Put it through." The holographic display shifted, revealing the face of a woman with steel-gray hair and the unmistakable bearing of someone accustomed to command. She wore a navy blue uniform, unlike any in the Federation, adorned with insignia Jake didn't recognize. "Terran Federation vessel. This is Admiral Helen Carter of New Haven. We've been expecting someone to find us eventually. Welcome to Kepler 442b, or as we call it, New Haven Prime." Jake maintained his composure despite his shock. "Admiral Carter, this is Commander Jake Sullivan of the Terran Federation exploration vessel Starseeker. I must inform you that there are no authorized human settlements in this system." A small smile played at the corner of Admiral Carter's lips. "We're well aware of Federation colonization restrictions. Commander, New Haven isn't an unauthorized settlement. It's an independent human civilization that predates those restrictions." "That's impossible," Dr. Price whispered from his station. "The Treaty of New Saturn was signed 80 years ago. And we've been here for 150 years, Admiral Carter replied, having clearly heard the comment. "Perhaps it's time we had a proper conversation. Commander Sullivan, you and your senior officers are invited to New Haven Prime. I promise your safety and free return to your vessel. Do you accept?" Jake felt every eye on the bridge turn to him. This was far beyond standard protocols now. Meeting with representatives of an unregistered human colony could be considered treason under certain interpretations of Federation law. Yet the opportunity to understand this mystery firsthand was too compelling to ignore. "We accept your invitation, Admiral," Jake said firmly. "Send us the coordinates for landing." As the Starseeker's shuttle descended through the atmosphere of New Haven Prime, Jake stared in wonder at the landscape below. Gleaming cities sprawled across terraformed valleys, connected by high-speed transport systems. Massive agricultural complexes stretched to the horizon, while orbital elevators reached skyward, like silver threads, connecting the planet to space stations above. "This is incredible," Lisa murmured as she guided their shuttle toward the designated landing pad. "They've accomplished more here than most Federation core worlds. And they've done it entirely off the grid," Jake added, his mind racing with questions. How had they remained hidden for so long? What was their purpose? And most importantly, what would happen when the Federation and the alien empires learned of their existence? The landing pad was situated atop a towering administrative complex in what appeared to be the capital city. As the shuttle touched down, Jake observed a small, welcoming committee waiting for them. Admiral Carter flanked by two individuals in similar uniforms. Jake led his team out of the shuttle, conscious that they were making first contact with a human civilization that had developed independently from Earth for over a century. "Commander Sullivan," Admiral Carter extended her hand. "Allow me to introduce Ryan Mitchell, our Director of External Affairs, and Alex Turner, our Chief of Security." Jake shook hands with each of them, noting their firm grips and evaluating gazes. "My senior officers, Lisa Barnes, our pilot, Dr. Kevin Price, Science Officer, and Amy Rodriguez, Communications. Please, follow us." Mitchell gestured toward the entrance to the building. "We have much to discuss." They were led to a spacious conference room with panoramic views of the city. The architecture was distinctly human, yet evolved in subtle ways from Federation standards, more efficient, more elegant, as if human design had been allowed to develop without the influence of alien aesthetics that had permeated Federation culture. Once seated, Admiral Carter activated a holographic display in the center of the table. "I imagine you have questions, Commander. Let me begin with our history." The hologram showed an old-style colony ship, its design reminiscent of early Federation vessels. 150 years ago, the colony ship New Frontier departed Earth, bound for the Procyon system. According to official records, it was lost with all hands during a hyperdrive malfunction. The truth is more complicated. The hologram shifted to show navigation charts and what appeared to be classified documents. The New Frontier was part of a classified initiative called Project Diaspora, a contingency plan developed by a coalition of Earth governments who feared humanity was becoming too dependent on alien technology and influence. The ship's disappearance was staged. Instead of Procyon, we diverted to Kepler 442, a system far from established trade routes and patrol paths. Jake leaned forward, absorbing this revelation. "You're saying Earth governments deliberately established a secret colony? That would violate dozens of treaties even back then." "Precisely why it was kept secret," Turner interjected. "The first alien contact had shown us how vulnerable Earth was. Project Diaspora was insurance, ensuring humanity would survive independently if the worst happened. But that was generations ago, Lisa said. Surely your original mission has evolved? Admiral Carter nodded. It has. What began as a survival colony has become something more, a vision of what humanity could achieve without the constraints imposed by our allies. We've developed technologies, social systems, and defense capabilities independently, free from the subtle controls the alien empires place on Federation development. Controls? Dr. Price questioned. The Federation has full technological autonomy. Mitchell smiled thinly. Does it? Have you never wondered why certain research directions are consistently underfunded? Why breakthrough technologies mysteriously stall in development? The Zelthari, Vegan, and other empires ensure humanity remains the junior partner in galactic affairs, advanced enough to be useful, limited enough to never threaten. Jake felt a chill at these words. There had always been conspiracy theories about alien influence limiting human potential, but he'd dismissed them as paranoia. Now, facing the evidence of New Haven's advanced state, he wasn't so sure. So what happens now? Jake asked. We've found you. Others will too. That's why we invited you here, Admiral Carter replied. After generations of preparation, New Haven is ready to emerge from the shadows, but how we do so matters greatly. Which brings us to why we revealed ourselves to your ship specifically. She touched a control, and the hologram changed to show detailed profiles of Jake and his crew. Your psychological evaluations, command decisions, and personal backgrounds suggest you might understand our position, that you might help us navigate first contact with the Federation properly. Jake felt uncomfortable under this scrutiny. You've been monitoring Federation personnel records? We have operatives throughout Federation space, Turner acknowledged without apology. Information is our first line of defense. Jake exchanged glances with his officers, seeing his own concerns reflected in their expressions. This hidden colony had spies within the Federation, a clear security breach with serious implications. Admiral, Jake said carefully, I appreciate your candor, but you must understand my position. I have a duty to report this discovery to my superiors. Of course, Carter nodded. We're not asking you to violate your oath. We're asking you to consider how you report our existence, and when. The timing and context of that revelation will determine whether New Haven is welcomed as a lost branch of humanity or treated as a threat to be contained. As the briefing continued, Jake learned more about New Haven society, how they had terraformed Kepler 442b in record time, how their education system fostered innovation without alien-influenced restrictions, how they had developed defensive technologies specifically designed to counter the capabilities of the major galactic powers. The implications were staggering. New Haven wasn't just a colony. It was an alternative vision of human destiny, one that had flourished in isolation. And now, it stood poised to upend the galactic political balance. Hours later, as Jake and his team returned to their shuttle, a heavy silence hung between them. What are we going to do, Commander? Amy finally asked as the shuttle doors closed. Jake stared out at the gleaming cityscape. First, we report to the Starseeker. Then, we need to have a serious conversation about our next steps. Back aboard their ship, the senior officers gathered in the secure briefing room. Jake had temporarily suspended all external communications, a protocol violation, but one he deemed necessary given the circumstances. Opinions? Jake asked, looking around at his team. We should follow standard protocols and report immediately, Amy said, though her voice lacked conviction. But we all know what will happen if we do, Lisa finished for her. The Federation will panic. The alien empires will demand action, and New Haven will be facing a coalition fleet within weeks. Dr. Price nodded grimly. Their technology is impressive, but they can't possibly stand against the combined might of multiple galactic powers. Are we so sure? Jake questioned. They've had a century and a half to prepare for this moment. Admiral Carter seemed remarkably confident. A tense silence fell over the room as each officer grappled with the enormity of their situation. "There's something else to consider," Jake finally said. "What if they're right? What if the alien empires have been subtly constraining human development? The evidence in New Haven is compelling." "So what are you suggesting, Commander?" Dr. Price asked carefully. "That we delay our report? That would be a court-martial offense." Jake paced the length of the room, wrestling with his conscience. "I'm suggesting we gather more information before filing our report. If we're going to potentially trigger a conflict, we owe it to everyone involved to understand the full situation." The decision was made. The Starseeker would remain in orbit around New Haven Prime for 3 more days, ostensibly conducting deep space scans of the system while actually continuing discussions with New Haven leadership. Those 3 days stretched into a week as Jake and his team delved deeper into New Haven society. They toured research facilities developing technologies decades beyond Federation standards. They observed educational institutions where students tackled scientific problems Jake recognized as theoretical limitations in Federation academia. Most disturbingly, they were shown evidence of systematic suppression of human innovation. Classified Federation records obtained through New Haven's intelligence network, documenting alien interference in human affairs. Then came the day everything changed. Jake was in a strategic planning session with Admiral Carter and her staff when Alex Turner burst into the room, his normally composed face tight with urgency. "We've detected multiple hyperdrive signatures approaching the system," he announced. "Federation and alien vessels, moving in formation. A lot of them." Admiral Carter remained unnaturally calm. "How much time do we have?" "They'll reach outer system detection range in approximately 6 hours." She nodded, then turned to Jake. "It seems your absence has been noted, Commander. Someone in your chain of command grew suspicious when the Starseeker stopped reporting." Jake felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "You need to evacuate your people. That many ships. It has to be a battle fleet." A small smile touched Admiral Carter's lips. "Evacuation isn't part of our plan, Commander. It never was." She turned to Turner. "Initiate Chrysalis Protocol." Across New Haven Prime, klaxons began to sound, not in panic, but in what Jake recognized as a well-rehearsed alert. Citizens moved with purpose, rather than fear, following procedures they had clearly practiced many times. "What's happening?" Jake demanded. "What is Chrysalis Protocol?" "The contingency we've prepared for since our founding," Admiral Carter replied, standing. "Please, come with me, Commander. You and your crew should witness this from the Strategic Command Center." Jake was led to a facility deep beneath the capital city, where New Haven's military leadership had already assembled. Massive holographic displays showed the approaching fleet, nearly 3,000 vessels representing the Federation and its alien allies, arranged in attack formation. "You can't possibly fight that many ships," Jake said, watching Federation destroyers he had served on in previous assignments moving into strike positions. Ryan Mitchell, who had joined them in the command center, simply said, "We don't intend to fight them conventionally." Over the next few hours, Jake watched in growing astonishment as New Haven revealed its true capabilities. Throughout the system, what had appeared to be barren asteroids and small moons suddenly powered up, revealing themselves as camouflaged defense platforms. Orbital facilities that had seemed purely civilian in nature transformed, deploying advanced weapon systems and shield generators. Most impressively, a fleet of vessels unlike any Jake had seen before emerged from hidden docks throughout the system. Sleek, powerful ships with technology that made Federation vessels look primitive by comparison. "You've been preparing for war all along," Jake murmured, both impressed and disturbed. "Not war," Admiral Carter corrected. "Deterrence. We've developed our capabilities with a single purpose: to ensure that when we finally revealed ourselves, we could not be simply swept aside or subjugated. As the Alien Federation coalition fleet entered the system, they immediately targeted New Haven's orbital facilities, opening fire from maximum range. Jake watched in horror as energy weapons lanced toward populated stations, only to be stopped by shield technology, far more advanced than anything in the Federation arsenal. The coalition fleet pressed their attack, moving deeper into the system. New Haven's forces held their fire, allowing the attackers to commit fully to their assault. Then, at some unseen signal, Admiral Carter simply nodded to her tactical officer. Execute. Throughout the system, New Haven's hidden defenses activated simultaneously. From concealed positions among asteroids and moons, energy weapons targeted the coalition fleet with surgical precision, not to destroy, but to disable. Weapon systems, engines, communications arrays. Simultaneously, something even more extraordinary occurred. Aboard the coalition vessels, critical systems began failing in cascading sequences. Navigation, targeting, communications, even life support systems reset or shut down entirely. "What's happening to them?" Jake asked, watching the coalition fleet fall into disarray. "The culmination of 150 years of preparation," Admiral Carter replied. "We've had operatives in every major shipyard and manufacturing facility in Federation and alien space for generations. The ships being built to protect humanity have contained our backdoor systems from the beginning." The implications hit Jake like a physical blow. "You've compromised the entire defense infrastructure of the Federation?" "Not compromised," Mitchell corrected. "Secured. Every weapon that could be turned against humanity is now under our control." Within 2 hours, the greatest fleet ever assembled in this region of space had been neutralized without a single ship being destroyed. 3,000 vessels hung powerless in space, unable to fight, flee, or even communicate with their home governments. From hidden docks throughout the system, the asteroid fields seemed to bloom like flowers, revealing New Haven's true fleet, thousands of advanced vessels moving to surround the disabled coalition forces. "Now," Admiral Carter said with quiet satisfaction, "we can begin negotiations from a position of equality, rather than as supplicants." Communication channels were selectively reactivated on the coalition flagship, allowing its admiral, a Federation officer named Harrison, to speak with New Haven leadership. "What have you done to our ships?" the man demanded, his face ashen on the view screen. "Demonstrated that the era of dictating terms to humanity has ended." Admiral Carter replied calmly, "Your vessels and crews are unharmed. They will remain that way as long as you maintain a peaceful posture." "You can't possibly believe you'll get away with this," Admiral Harrison sputtered. "Even if you've somehow disabled our fleet, our governments will send more. You've committed an act of war against multiple galactic powers. I suggest you examine your tactical situation more carefully." "Admiral," Carter responded, "this system is now just one node in a much larger network. At this moment, defense systems throughout Federation and alien space are experiencing the same technical difficulties as your fleet. The backdoors we've installed over generations exist in virtually every major weapons platform in explored space." The color drained from Harrison's face as he received confirmation of this claim from his staff. "That's impossible." "No," Carter corrected. "That's preparation. For too long, humanity has been the junior partner in galactic affairs, our development subtly guided and constrained. Today, that changes." Over the next 24 hours, Jake watched as a new reality took shape. New Haven established a demilitarized zone around Kepler 442 and gradually restored limited functionality to the coalition fleet. Enough for basic operations and life support, but not weapons or faster-than-light capability. Communications channels with the Federation and alien governments were opened, and the negotiation phase began. Jake found himself serving as an unofficial intermediary, trusted just enough by both sides to carry messages and provide context. "You've placed the Federation in an impossible position," Jake told Admiral Carter during a rare, quiet moment. The alien empires will blame us for this security breach. There could be severe repercussions for Earth. Watch and see, Carter replied. The Zelthari, Vegan, and others are discovering that their own systems have been compromised as well. They can't attack Earth without leaving themselves vulnerable to New Haven countermeasures. True to her prediction, reports began filtering in of alien governments tempering their initial outrage, shifting from threats to reluctant offers of diplomatic recognition. On Earth, the revelation of New Haven's existence had created political upheaval. The Federation Council was in emergency session, with factions forming between those who viewed New Haven as traitors and those who saw them as lost kin returning with gifts of advanced technology. Federation President Nicole Gray, initially critical of New Haven's actions, changed her stance after receiving a comprehensive data package detailing alien interference in human affairs. In a historic address broadcast throughout human space, she acknowledged New Haven as an independent human civilization and proposed a new alliance between Earth and its long-separated colony. The age of humanity existing as a secondary power in this galaxy has ended, President Gray declared. Together with our brothers and sisters from New Haven, we will forge a new relationship with galactic civilization, one based on mutual respect rather than subtle domination. As Jake watched these events unfold from New Haven Prime, he reflected on how dramatically the galaxy had changed in just a few short weeks. The human diaspora, once thought confined to Federation space, had proven itself more resourceful and far-sighted than anyone had imagined. "What will you do now, Commander?" Admiral Carter asked him, as they stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city, where celebrations continued into the night. "Your position in the Federation is complicated, given your role in these events." Jake considered the question carefully. His career in the Federation was likely over. Some would view him as complicit in New Haven's actions, others as merely a pawn. Yet he couldn't bring himself to regret the part he had played. "I'm not sure," he admitted. "But I believe what's happened here was necessary. Humanity deserved to stand on equal footing with other civilizations. There's a place for you here, if you want it," Carter offered. "New Haven will need people who understand both our society and the Federation as we move forward." Before Jake could respond, Ryan Mitchell approached with an urgent communication. "Admiral, our Deep Space Monitoring Network has detected unusual activity in the Cygnus sector. It doesn't match any known Federation or alien signature." Carter's expression grew serious. "The same readings we've been tracking for the past year?" "Yes, but significantly stronger. Whatever it is, it's moving in this direction." Jake looked between them. "What are you talking about?" Admiral Carter's eyes met his. "Perhaps the reason we found each other just in time. Commander, there's something coming from deep space, something neither New Haven nor the Federation has encountered before. And based on our readings, humanity will need to stand united to face it." As New Haven and Earth began the complex process of reconciliation and alliance, Jake found himself increasingly involved in preparations for this unknown threat. The asteroid defense network that had neutralized the Coalition fleet was being expanded and upgraded. New Haven's advanced ships were being retrofitted for what might lie ahead. The message sent throughout human space was clear. The era of division was over. A new chapter in human history had begun, not just of independence, but of leadership in galactic affairs. Standing on the observation deck of New Haven's primary space station, Jake watched as the first official Federation delegation arrived. Diplomats, scientists, and military officers coming not as conquerors, but as partners. Among them was President Gray herself, making a historic journey to formalize the alliance between Earth and its once-hidden children. "Do you think we're ready?" Lisa asked, joining him at the viewport. Like Jake, she had chosen to remain on New Haven, her skills as a pilot valued in their defense force. Jake considered the Federation ships now docked peacefully alongside New Haven vessels. the shared technology already beginning to transform both societies, and the newfound respect with which alien representatives approached human diplomats. "I think," he said finally, "that after centuries of being held back, humanity is finally ready to discover what we're truly capable of." As the diplomatic ceremonies began below, Jake couldn't help but feel that the discovery of New Haven hadn't just changed the balance of power in the galaxy. It had fulfilled the deepest purpose of exploration itself, to find not just new worlds, but new possibilities for human potential. In the vast darkness beyond the Cygnus sector, unknown forces moved closer. But for the first time in generations, humanity would face the future not as a protected species, but as architects of their own destiny. The hidden colony had emerged from shadows into light, and the galaxy would never be the same.